guys. Thanks for joining us today. You're all very welcome to the Introduction to Data Visualization workshop. Firstly, I'm just going to ask you all to make sure your microphones are muted, just to eliminate any background noise. Okay. Cheers, guys. So my name is Rob Summers. I'm a fourth year engineering student in UCD, currently doing the Master of Engineering with Business program, and I'm head of the data visualization sector for DataSoc, which is Ireland's first student data society. If you've not already joined, I definitely recommend it. We're going to be running free events, workshops, and posting content on our social medias relating to all of the developments in the world of data science. We'll be running a speaker series every Tuesday and events like this every Thursday. Coming up this Tuesday, we have a speaker series event with Owen Mulcahy, who is the CEO at DeepSeek. And on Thursday, Jamie Kennedy, who is our machine learning sector lead, will be running a virtual workshop on machine learning. So I definitely recommend signing up so you can go to both of those events. All right, so I'll start off with a quick overview of what we're going to be covering today. So firstly, we'll look at what exactly is data visualization, who uses data visualization, and why is it important. I'll show you guys a couple examples of data visualizations from various settings, and I'll also highlight a few visualization tools that are free to use for students. Next up, I'll give a quick introduction to Tableau, which is the software we're going to be looking at today. And I'll also show you guys how you can access it for free as students and avoid what is, I think, a $70 subscription fee per month. Finally, we'll take a live demo. I'll give you a live demonstration using Tableau, just to cover the basic elements and features. Okay. So we'll kick things off with, to put it simply, data visualization is the graphical representation of data, where data are facts or statistics collected for reference or analysis. It involves producing images to provide an accessible way to see and understand trends, patterns, and outliers in data. The most common elements or methods of data visualization that you guys might be familiar with would be bar charts, histograms, pie charts, and anything you would have dealt with in, say, leaving cert maths and statistics, or even in college classes. So why is it important? So data can be intimidating, especially living in the world of big data, where we're dealing with immensely large volumes of data and massive data sets. And if you've no scientific training or experience with statistics and data science, it can be pretty hard to interpret anything from data sets. So data is driving more and more decisions in professional settings, and we need to be able to tell stories using our data so that the conclusions derived from data are universally understandable. Data visualization allows us to do this by bridging the gap between technical information and useful interpretation. And it is widely used in academic and professional settings. So I'll show you guys an example now of what's called a dashboard, which is just a collection of data visualizations. This one focuses on coronavirus statistics. It's a bit outdated, but and it's a bit of a bleak way to kick things off, I guess, but I guess it's relevant to the times we're living in. And so as you can see, you've got what would have been an interactive map if this weren't a JPEG file, and just various statistics regarding the coronavirus as of May 31st. Okay, so I will introduce you to some free data visualization platforms now. First off, you've got Tableau Public. So this is actually free for anyone, not just students. It shares the majorities of the features that Tableau Desktop has. Tableau Desktop is the main program within the Tableau suite. The only issues with Tableau Public is that it is limited in sources from which you can upload data sets, and your work can't be saved locally. So if you're using Tableau Public, any work that you do will be available to the public on the Tableau Public database. So it's not really suitable for sensitive information, such as personal data, and say if you were working in a financial institution with sensitive information. So next up is Tableau Desktop, which is, as I mentioned, the main program within the Tableau suite. There is a way that students can avail of a free subscription, as I mentioned earlier. I'll come back to Tableau Desktop in a little bit and tell you more about it. Next up, we've got Data Wrapper. There's a free version of this program as well. It's very easy to use. It's beginner friendly, requires minimal input from the user. So you just upload your data set and it'll automatically convert your data into visualizations, and it requires no coding skills. With that said, it's definitely less diverse in terms of functionality compared to, say, Tableau and Google Data Studio, which is the next platform I'll talk about. This is a free version of Data Studio 360, which is a member of the Google Analytics suite. It's easy to use. It's very similar to Tableau, except probably slightly less diverse in terms of functionality. And it is web-based, meaning that you need an internet connection to use it, which can be a bit of a disadvantage. So I'll show you now an example of visualizations that were created using each of these platforms. So this first is a dashboard containing that was made on Tableau, containing information from Spotify regarding streaming and the charts. It's a bit outdated as well. So what you've got here is, say, just a bar chart ranking artists based on the number of streams they've received in, I think it was the space of time of a week. Here you have a what would have been an interactive map, only this is a JPEG file as well. So if it were in the original Twibix file form, which is the type of file you get when you use Tableau, there would have been a lot of features you could sort of delve into. Then you've just got streams as a function of time here. Next up, this was a dashboard made using Google Data Studio. Once again, it's a JPEG in a JPEG format, so it's not interactive. However, it does have interactive features when you can add interactive features using Google Data Studio. And then with Data Wrapper, this one was made. It wouldn't have been interactive. It's obviously a bit less detailed, but it would have been automatically made and would have required significantly less work from the user. So now we'll take a look at Tableau. So what is Tableau? Tableau is the world's leading visual analytics and data visualization platform. It can be used to create highly interactive visualizations. It's widely used for business analytics to make informed data-driven business decisions. It does cater to a pretty diverse range of abilities, stemming from basic to very advanced, and a lot of features can be added. Obviously, as you gain proficiency, you can add more advanced features, but a lot can still be done with the basic skills. If you, as I was saying earlier, students can receive a free subscription. So we'll send out an email after this with the link to that, and that will include all of Tableau's free e-learning tutorials and their material. So there's exercises, tutorials, workshops you can do for free to enhance your skills. Tableau is a highly sought after skill in the workplace. You'll see more and more job descriptions with Tableau as a preferred qualification, especially in database roles. There's even jobs like Tableau consultants who will hire themselves out and go to companies and just all they do is compose visualizations using Tableau. So yeah, it obviously has a huge range of applications in various industries, and it's great for use for college reports and presentations as well. And also, if you do happen to sign up for that free Tableau student subscription within the next 2 weeks, I think the dates are the 6th to the 8th of October. Tableau are running their annual conference. And there's going to be a lot of really interesting guests at that. It's obviously virtual, so if you sign up, you'll be able to attend that for free. They'll be featuring guests such as Mark Randolph, who was the co-founder and former CEO of Netflix, John Legend, the singer-songwriter, and Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson, who's a world-renowned astrophysicist. I'm sure you've all heard of him. Okay, so I'll show you now a couple of examples from Tableau of visualizations. So first up, this is just this is a graph representing the Apple stock price as a function of time. So obviously, data visualization has a big part to play in finance, especially anyone who's interested in sort of, I don't know, trading. Say if you use eToro or IQ Option or any of those trading apps, you'll see all these kind of graphs. And then just to give a bit of scope of the sort of diverse range of areas in which data visualization can be useful, this is made using Tableau as well. It's just a dashboard that displays the appropriateness of Tarantino films, essentially using variables such as number of deaths and number of occurrences of certain words. Okay, so I'll move on now to, actually, I'll stop now and ask you guys if anyone has any questions they would like to ask. Either if you have anything to say, maybe throw it in the chat, or you can put your mic on.
Sure, I'll ask the question there.
Yeah, fire away.
So obviously, like, some of us like are familiar with Python. Like, sometimes Tableau is better for doing some things, but what would you say is like the benefits of doing a dashboard versus just like a single visualization? Like, what would you say is the benefit of that in terms of where you present it and what applications it might have versus just, you know, figures that you can put in the document?
Yeah, that's a good question. Basically, I guess the whole idea behind the dashboard is that it just can contain more information. So as I was saying, a dashboard is literally just a collection of singular visualizations. So say if you wanted to, I don't know, for example, if you were creating a report or even a presentation, and you just want to run through different visualizations at once, or I know that I don't know if any of you have been to the engineering building in UCD, but there are a lot of projects around the professors' offices that use dashboards. It's just a good way of depicting a lot of information in a kind of small area.
Cool, thanks. I think that kind of answers my question.
Cool. I think there's a few here in the chat as well. Raj, how would you say Microsoft Power BI compares to these mentioned platforms? To be honest, I'm not familiar with Microsoft Power BI. What I know is, as I was saying, say if you're an inexperienced user, I would recommend the Data Wrapper platform, whereas Tableau would be definitely very widely used in a lot of workplaces. But to be honest, I can't fully answer that because I'm not too familiar with Microsoft Power BI. Thomas, can you connect Tableau or any data viz with PowerPoint? Yeah, the only issue with that is if you want to show your Tableau visualizations on PowerPoint, you're only able to do that in a sort of a JPEG format, so the interactivity elements will be lost, unfortunately.
Not the image. It's not like all the dynamics change.
Exactly. You'd still have the image, just the dynamic elements would be lost.
You must do an API for that. Fuck.
Okay, let's see. Michaela, so what kind of Tableau certifications would you recommend focusing on earning to enhance your CV? That's a good question. There are a lot of different courses you can take via Tableau that Tableau runs themselves, which you will have access to if you sign up using the free student subscription. It pretty much depends how much work you want to put in. Obviously, the more proficient you are, the better. You'll probably be going into more internship roles, sort of lower level roles as a student. So they're not going to expect you to have a massive sort of skill set. If you can get your head around the basics, there's really a lot you can do. So as long as you can kind of stick down Tableau on your CV, saying you know the basic elements, that's a great thing to have on your CV. Okay.
Just on that there as well, I'm just kind of curious. You talked earlier about like different levels of proficiency in using Tableau. Like, is the learning curve like easy going enough? Like, if you still had like kind of a novice level of proficiency, or you still have a lot of like capabilities to just kind of get what you want to portray, like nothing too complicated or anything?
Yeah, that's a good question as well. I wouldn't say it's a steep learning curve. I'd say because they're like, it can get very advanced, but learning the basics is very easy. And yeah, as I said, there is a lot that you can do with the basics, but as you get sort of to a more advanced level, you can introduce elements that involve a bit more sort of coding. So Tableau has its own sort of I don't know if I'd say language, but its own. You can code using Tableau. So it's basically it's going to be as difficult as you want it to be, or in order to get as advanced as you want to get. Okay, I will move on from now,
Nice.
and I'll begin the demonstration. No problem. And we will go back to questions later. Okay. Okay. I'm just gonna, if you bear with me, I'm just gonna get Tableau up running now. But first, I would invite anyone who already has downloaded Tableau, and if they have the data set that we sent out as well, if you guys want to open up and follow along, that's cool. So I'll start by showing you guys the data set we're going to be working with in Excel form. Okay, so this is a data set from the Rio 2016 Summer Games, the Olympics. So what it depicts is information with regards to the athletes who were medal winners at those games. So in the top row, you have all the data fields. So starting here, you've got each athlete has ID number, a name, nationality, sex, DOB, date of birth, height, weight, the sport in which they competed, and then the number of gold, silver, bronze medals they won, and then the total number of medals they won. So the first thing I want to do is export this file from Excel format to CSV format, because Tableau does accept Excel format, but I've had some problems with Excel and Tableau in the past. So I always like to export it to a CSV, which means comma separated value format. So the first thing you want to do is just hit the file tab, then go to export, and then change file type and hit CSV, and then you're going to save it as whatever you want. Okay, I'm just going to open up Tableau now. Okay. So this is the Tableau homepage. In the center here, you have all of the worksheets that you might have previously worked with. And then on the left is the connect column. So this is where we're going to how we're going to open up our data source. So there's a lot of different places you can upload from. We're going to be uploading from our hard drive though. So you want to go into more, and then you can upload whatever you want. So I'm just going to upload that file that we were looking at. Okay. So this is where you'll be brought when you upload your file, the data source page. And this is the first thing you want to do is check that your data has been correctly interpreted by Tableau, which it seems to have been. So obviously this looks a lot like our Excel file. And on top, you've got all your data fields, which is good. One thing to note is that when Tableau is interpreting your data, it will assign a subcategory to each of your data fields. So it'll assign it either as a measure or a dimension. Dimensions are typically discrete values that can't be aggregated, such as names and countries, or your nationality. And then measures are typically fields that can be aggregated or measured. So if you also note here that each field in the top left-hand corner has a little symbol, that just denotes the data type or the variable type. So obviously this little hashtag denotes a numeric value. This ABC here, that means this is being interpreted as a string value, which is just a string of characters, so like a word or a sentence. And here you've got a date value. So date of birth is obviously a date. One problem here is that it has interpreted nationality as a string when we in fact want it to be interpreted as a geographic field, which is a feature in Tableau. So in order to change the data type, you just hit that symbol. You can go down to geographic role, and we're going to select country or region. So now it's been established as a geographic role. So let's just see. Okay, we're going to start by making our first worksheet, which is going to be a tree map. A tree map is essentially a visualization that has shows a number of squares and rectangles where that vary in size based on certain variables. So we'll start by hitting sheet 1. That's just the first worksheet, blank worksheet that Tableau has generated for us. And we'll rename it number of athletes by country. So each mark or each square or rectangle in the tree map is going to represent a country, and the greater the size kind of represents that country has a greater number of athletes. Okay, so the first thing we would want to do is differentiate each country by color. So we're going to drag nationality over the color section of this marks card. So we now have a mark for each different country. Okay, so say you've got Brazil there. It shows the country code there. Another thing to note is this little section here. This is called the marks card. So a mark on a visualization is essentially like any component of it. So a bar and a bar chart, a slice of a pie chart, they're all marks. So the next thing we want to do is, we want to differentiate each of these marks by number of athletes per country. So the greater the number of athletes, the greater the size of the mark. So as you can see, we don't actually have a field entitled number of athletes, so we need to create that field. We can do so by just hitting this drop down menu up here, and we'll hit create calculated field. So that opens up a terminal, and this is where you can kind of add a lot of functionality. Like there's you can get pretty advanced here. You can type all sorts of code into this, but we're going to keep it simple enough. We'll start by naming this calculated field number of athletes, and all we have to do then is just type 1 here, because that's just going to that is going to assign just one athlete to each row in our data set. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Now we're trying to differentiate number of athletes by size. So we'll drag the number of athletes field over the size portion of the marks card. We'll drop that, and then we get this. So you can see that the USA has the greatest number of athletes with 211, China with 100, etc. And the last thing I want to do here is, well, the second last thing I want to do here is just label each of these marks by their country. So we can drag the nationality field over a label in the marks card, and that's going to label all of them. Okay, so you've got your country code in each one. Another cool feature of Tableau is that you can use filters to sort of break down your data. So say I wanted to filter this visualization based on gender. So I wanted to get the same visualization, except that it was only representing the male athletes that competed. I would take the sex field, drop it in filters, and then select male. Okay. So now we have the same thing except for male athletes. So there were 94 male athletes from the USA. And then we can do the same for female if we just hit the drop down, then show filter, and then select female, unselect male. And then you get the same sort of idea. Okay, so that's the first visualization I wanted to make. Next up, we're going to make a color-coded map of the world using one color palette. So say like a blue color palette, and basically each country will be a different shade of blue based on how many medals that country took home from the Olympic Games. So the darker the shade, the more medals essentially the country had. Okay, so you can create a new blank worksheet by hitting this tab down here. Start off by naming it, just double click, and then we'll name it medals by country. Okay, that's cool. Another good thing about these geographic fields in Tableau is that you can create a map really simply. You just have to drag the geographic field into the center of the worksheet, and based on whatever regions or countries or provinces you have in your data set, it will create a map based on that. So we have pretty much a lot of countries from the entire world, so it's going to show us the entire world. But say we only add the counties of Ireland, it would just show us a map of Ireland. Okay, so each of these dots represents every country in the data set. Now we obviously want to color a color-coded map, and the color is going to be differentiated by the total number of medals won by each country. So all you have to do is drag the total medals field and drop that over color, and there you go. So as I was saying, the darker the shade, the more medals won. So USA took the most, 264, Russia had 115, etc. Okay, and now another thing to note is that you see this white card here that appears when you click on a mark, and that's called the tooltip. So you can include whatever information you want really in that. So I'm just going to include the number of gold, silver, and bronze medals that were won respectively by each country in this tooltip. So I can do that by just dragging the gold field over the tooltip section. And there you go. I'll do the same for silver and bronze. And we have all that information there. So if I wanted to reorder the text in that tooltip, I would just have to click the tooltip section, and then you can just edit that like it's a Word document. So let's put these ahead of bronze. And there you go. Okay, I'll make one more singular visualization for you there. So create a new worksheet. This one's going to be a bar chart where each bar represents each athlete in the data set and how many medals they have won on their own. So the first thing I want to do is create a column that has the name of each athlete in the data set. So we'll take the name field and we'll drag it up here to where it says rows. So I didn't mention these rows and columns section earlier, and they essentially represent the X and the Y axis. So rows represents the Y axis if you were to create a graph, say. And now we have a column that lists all of the athletes alphabetically. Now we just want to create a bar chart. So it will a bar chart that depicts how many medals they have each one. So we'll drag the total medals field up to columns, and there you go. So Tableau automatically recognized that we were trying to create a bar chart. If you wanted to change if we didn't want to create a bar chart for some reason, we wanted to change the type of visualization, you can hit this drop down here and you can select whatever you want, but we'll keep it as it is. The next thing I want to do is, instead of having it alphabetically sorted, I want it to be sorted from the top athlete, so whoever won the most, the largest number of medals, and downwards. So in order to sort it that way, you just go to the name field here, hit the drop down, and you can click sort. So say we wanted to sort it from Z to A instead of from A to Z, just hit descending and you've got it like that. It's currently sorted by data source order, which was alphabetical. So we're going to change that so it's sorted by field. The field we want sorted by is total medals, which is good. So that's all good. And now we've got a nice sort of distribution with Michael Phelps at the top, who won the largest number of medals. The last feature I want to add to this is a link to each of the athletes' Wikipedia pages. So you can do this by adding what's called an action. So if you go up here to worksheet and click on actions, and then we can hit add action. There's a load of different types of actions you can add, but that's a bit more advanced, so I'll just stick with this. Go to URL, and we're going to name this. So the name of the action is what's going to appear when in the tooltip when you hover your mouse over each athlete. So I'll call this click for further information on, and then you want it to adjust. You want the name, what comes after on, to adjust accordingly based on the name of the athlete. So you can select a variable here that will adjust accordingly. So we're going to pick name. So that will change based on whatever athlete we're dealing with. And then the source sheet that we're dealing with is just the one that I forgot, I haven't named yet, but it's sheet 3 at the moment. So, and then you add your URL there. So I am just going to stop sharing my screen for 2 seconds. And I'm going to go onto Wikipedia, and I'm just going to search Michael Phelps's URL. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to copy Michael Phelps's URL in here. And the thing with Wikipedia is it sort of just has well, there's a thing with websites, there's a generic URL, and then you can just, after this / is whatever you want to search for. So we can do the same things we did up here. So it adjusts according to whatever athlete we're dealing with. So we'll put name in there, and that's that. So now when you click here, you can click for further information on Michael Phelps, and that'll take you to Michael Phelps's Wikipedia page. And you can do the same for any of these athletes. There you go. So that's a pretty cool feature of Tableau. I'll just name that sheet, medals by athletes. Okay, so one more thing I'll do is create a dashboard. So I want to just combine all of these into a singular dashboard. So if you hit this button down here, that's just a new dashboard. That'll give you a blank dashboard, and you can add whatever page you want here. So I'll start by adding the first one we made. You can get rid of these filters and legends if you want to, just to make it a bit more neat. And you can also make this fit the entire view, just for aesthetics. You can adjust the size of your dashboard based on what device you're using. So if you just hit automatic, it'll usually pick them as pleasing view. And then I'll add the other two. So just drag them from that column, the last one. Okay, there we go. I'll get rid of this legend as well. And then another feature that the dashboard in Tableau has is you can add a filter which will sort of break down the dashboard based on what you select. So if I hit this use as filter button here, and then say I just want a list of the athletes over here that are from, say, the USA, I just hit USA. The map focuses on USA there, and you get details on the USA, and then you've all the American athletes here, and that obviously applies across the board. So say, okay, I can't find Ireland, but if you wanted, say, Poland, same thing. And yeah, that's another pretty handy feature of Tableau. And then you can view this in dashboard in a sort of presentation version as well. Okay, so that covers pretty much most of what I wanted to get through. So now maybe if you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them again.
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah, fire away.
Yeah, so I'm just following you by my computer. I just made the dashboard, right? But it's just like one square. How can I adjust it so it's all horizontal like yours?
So if you let me just start sharing my screen again. So sorry, could you just say that again? You want to adjust it so that it fills the entire screen?
Yes, exactly. Not entire, just as you have it.
Okay, yeah. So
one square.
So if you click on each singular visualization, do you have it set to entire view?
Yeah.
Okay, and over here, do you have this set to automatic?
Let me see. Where's that? Size? In size?
Yeah, size.
No, it appears like minimum 420.
Okay. Well, if you do you have it? Yeah. All good.
Yeah, got it. Perfect.
Cool.
Thanks.
No problem. Guys, if you have any questions about, if you're following along and you're having an issue, Rob will be hanging around after the call. So if you want him to help you out, then we can do that. I think we'll just keep the questions on Tableau and the presentation itself for now.
Yeah. Cheers, on. Anything else, guys?
There's a question there from, there's two questions there in the chat. So the first one from Lemon was, can we sort by order in tooltip?
Can we sort by order in tooltip? So do you mean in terms of like, you can sort the tooltip however you want. You can, if you just click into here, you can adjust the order of anything by as if it's just a simple Word document. Is that what you mean?
Not manually, maybe like,
Oh, yeah. Actually, yeah, you can. Typically, if you use, if you just adjust the position of these, that will. Sorry. To answer your question, no, you have to do it manually, essentially.
Thanks.
Is there anything else?
Yes. I mean, how can you do it like dynamic, like in the when you have the dashboard that you perhaps touch a country and change all the
Yeah.
you understand?
So that's called a filter action. So there's a quick way to do it here. In the dashboard, if you just click on the visualization you want to filter, and then you click this this little button here, that'll work. You can also as I was saying earlier, you can add actions. So you can add say filter actions as well. So you can play around with that, and you can get the same sort of results. But in terms of a dashboard, the easiest way to do it is just use that quick button there.
Nice, thank you.
No problem.
A question from Hugo. He in the chat. He said, "How large of a data set can Tableau handle?"
Essentially, I couldn't give you an exact number, but very large. I've been dealing with, I think the largest thing I've been dealing with was like a bank mortgage portfolio that had something like it was between 8 and 10,000 rows in Excel, and it handled that fine. It's just it is a bit tedious, I suppose, using that much data, but like, yeah, it can handle very large data sets.
Just on the integration of Tableau, if you were presenting something, I know it came up earlier and you were saying it can only be like a JPEG or whatever, a picture in PowerPoint. Is there any like slide deck program, like even Google Slides or something that can do it, or could it be like embedded into a website, or would it just be best to like alt tab over into Tableau in the middle of a presentation? Like, how can you use it?
Yeah, I know. In terms of Tableau can be embedded into softwares and like websites, as far as I know. In terms of like using, if you're giving a PowerPoint presentation, I don't think there's many. I'm not entirely sure if there's many visualization platforms that are compatible with PowerPoint, but I know that Google Analytics, the Data Studio, is compatible with the entire Google Analytics suite. And in terms of Tableau, if you wanted, it's obviously annoying dealing with Tableau and trying to create these interactive files if you're dealing with people who don't actually have Tableau. There's a couple of platforms that Tableau offers that are capable of displaying Twibix files, which are like Tableau files, with full interactivity. I think it's Tableau Reader and Tableau Server, which are free to download for everyone. So if you were, say you wanted to send your friend a visualization for some reason, if they downloaded Tableau Reader or Tableau Server, I think it is, for free, sorry, Tableau Reader for free, they'd be able to view your file with full interactivity. But in terms of, say, a PowerPoint presentation, it's I think the best way is just with a PDF or a JPEG. If that's it for general questions, I'd be happy to stick around if anyone has any specific questions to that visualization that we just made. Otherwise, once again, thanks very much for joining us today. Also, special thanks to Air, Alton, and Sam, who were helping out beforehand. Once again, I definitely recommend you all signing up to DataSoc if you've not already done so, and make sure you sign up to our speaker series with Owen Mulcahy next week, and to Jamie's workshop next week as well. There he is. So yeah, thanks very much, guys. So feel free to leave unless if anyone has any specific questions to that visualization.
Thank you, man. That was awesome.
No problem, mate.
Yeah, I have a question. Is the same with the design of the of the dashboard. So I'm
Yeah,
having
go
a
ahead.
problem like to make as you have it here with the map, just taking like half or 1/4 of the screen, then put the other dashboard there. I'm like having trouble like managing the size that I want.
So, as in you're fine. You're having trouble like navigating the map, sort of.
No, not navigating, but just to, for example, I have the screen and I want to divide it in these 3 different graphs. How can I decide how much of the screen I want each graph to?
Oh yeah, I get you. Yeah, it can be. It is kind of annoying the way the format that Tableau has. So, say if you want it's essentially it has to be sort of cut into pretty precise sizes. So you can adjust just by using this. It's like a little arrow thing here. You can just adjust the size that you have. That you have each half of the screen.
Yeah.
But you can't really say if you wanted to just adjust the size of the map upwards and you wanted to keep this the same. Tableau doesn't really allow for that.
Okay. And if you want to move for example, the map to the right corner of the screen.
Oh yeah, you click it and you use this.
Okay, and up and to the right part, the upper right part, is the same.
Oh yeah, that should work.
Okay, perfect. Yeah,
Is that okay?
Yeah, clear. Thanks, man.
Cool. No problem, mate. Anything else, guys? We all good? Okay, so thanks again. There'll be an email going out with the links I mentioned earlier, and there will be a recorded version if anyone wants to follow along and try to make that visualization again.
Rob.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, everyone.